Well, good Monday morning, everyone. And it's a new week, and it's going to be new this week, all week, and next week. I'm so excited about this series that you and I are going to start, this journey that you and I are going to take together. And I think when we get done, maybe it's in 2 weeks, maybe it's going to take a little more. You're going to be excited because the signs are here that Jesus could easily be coming back very soon and in our lifetime. And I know that's quite the thing. And of course, Christians have said that over the years. But there is one measuring stick that I came across because of a brand new book that you and I are going to go through called The Sprint to the Finish. The Sprint to the Finish by Doug Cobb of the ministry called The Finishing Fund. Now, we'll get more into that in a few minutes, but let me just start with this. The basis of the book and this study that you and I are going to go through together. It comes because back 2,000 years ago, Jesus' disciples asked him a question. And it's his answer to that question that you and I are going to dig into together. Here, let me just read. It's in Matthew chapter 24. And I'll start at verse 3. And it says this: As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, and they said, "Tell us, Jesus." They said, "When will all this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming back and of the end of the age?" Do you uh, realize that they would want to know the answer to that question? If I were sitting with Jesus and he had just said that he was going to to die and then restore the temple, and the temple would be torn, and all these questions that Jesus was raising, and they said, "Well, when will this happen? When will you be back? When will be the end of the age?" I love that they asked that question because we get the answer. And I encourage you to read how Jesus answered. It's all in Matthew chapter 24. It's a long discourse, and you have probably heard numerous sermons as they look at the various signs and the wonder. He talks about wars and rumors of wars. He talks about earthquakes. He talks about his sudden return, and on and on. But right in the middle of that, he makes a statement that seemed impossible, had to seem impossible to the disciples. But guess what? It's not impossible, and it's happening right now in your life and in my lifetime. It's in verse 14, very measurable. And in the middle of this whole discourse, Jesus says, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." Wow. And then the end will come. But do you see why they thought it was impossible? How in the world could that gospel, the good news of Jesus, be preached everywhere in the world? It led that desire of God that all nations, now we're going to look at it in a couple days, that has always been God's desire, that all nations, all people would come to him. And that led to, at the end of Matthew and the end of every gospel, and we'll see that too tomorrow, I think. But Jesus gave what's called the Great Commission. The Great Commission. Do you know what the Great Commission is? I was shocked, absolutely shocked, when I read the statistics on just that question alone. The Great Commission. Research by Barna said that 51% of US based churchgoers have not even heard of the Great Commission. 51% have never heard of the Great Commission. And only 17% can, that's one in six, can actually say what it is. I hope, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if you are one of the ones in that statistic. But I do know this. You are going to know what the Great Commission is, and you're going to know how it's going to be fulfilled. But Jesus gave it so that what he said in Matthew 24:14 will come to pass. Here's the Great Commission. It's one of the last things that Jesus said. It's recorded at the end of Matthew chapter 28, 19 and 20. Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." And of course, Jesus said in the verse we just read, Matthew 24:14, that when that is done, when you have taken that gospel to every place, that very same thing, he says, I'll be with you to the end of the age, because that will be the end of the age when it's done. When it's done. Isn't that something? That was the command. That's the last command that Jesus gave us. Go into all the world, declaring that Jesus Christ is God come in the flesh. And then he says, teaching them to obey all that I have said. Here's what Doug Cobb says in his book on this topic. Obviously, if people don't know what the Great Commission is, they won't have any idea how close we are to seeing it completed or what remains to be accomplished. And this is a tragedy for the American church. Most people are missing the opportunity to join the sprint to the finish because they are unaware that the race is even being run. And what's more, knowing this remarkable progress toward finishing the task is a great antidote for discouragement, fear, and even anger that many Americans feel about today's world. I totally agree with that. What Doug says, because if you know that or believe that Jesus is coming back soon, doesn't that make it a lot easier to get along in this world? Of course it does. When we look forward to heaven, I mean, that's the other way. Either Jesus is coming back for us during our lifetime and we'll be caught up in the air to be with him, or we die and go to be with him. But we will be with him. But it's sad, but we are getting very close to finishing the task. And you're going to see what's happening around the world. And I think it's going to amaze you. And not only amaze you, but cause you to rejoice. And perhaps cause you to get involved in this remaining spreading of the gospel that still needs to be done. Oh, the stories that we have. I'm just really excited about what I get to share with you in the coming days. And so be sure and tune back in because Matthew 24:14, this gospel will be preached everywhere, and then the end will come. We are truly in a sprint to the finish, and I will see you again tomorrow as we begin to reveal these things to you. See you then.